So pleased to be joined by tonight's guest, host of the Drive Time on Sportsnet, the Fan 590, Ben Ennis. Welcome to the Walk-Off, man. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Oh yeah, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, buddy, we were really excited when we booked you last week to hopefully have a real positive, exciting talk with you about what we could expect for the rest of this playoffs with the Blue Jays. That is not the convo we're going to have, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're telling me. So I was down at the ballpark Friday before game one. We did the 2 hour pregame before the 4 o'clock first pitch, so a little bit of an early show. And then I had my own family Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday in preparation for perhaps another pregame show down at the ballpark on Sunday. It was all set up until it wasn't. Until
Yeah.
yeah, it was a day of reflection, solemn reflection after a historic loss, not just in the history of the franchise, but in the sport of professional baseball.
Like 48 hours has gone by since that collapse. It doesn't feel like enough time. Like to kind of like take a sound, level-headed look at this team and what needs to happen. I'm not ready. Like, where are you at when you look at this team?
Well, I mean, there's the micro of that 9 inning baseball game and an 8-1 lead and all the decisions and all the things that had to go into losing that 8-1 lead, and whether that's managerial decisions, whether that's fielding decisions, whether that's shift decisions as to where the outfielders were placed in the eighth inning. There's that, and then there's the macro decisions that lead you to those micro moments. That's was enough done at the trade deadline when it comes to the bullpen, diversifying this lineup righty lefty. It's a lot. It's a lot to take stock of in one 9 inning baseball game. But that's what happens when you're talking about a collapse of that epic proportion.
Yeah, because it's really tough to even pinpoint one thing. I mean, I feel like there's so much blame to go around, right? Like, to just put it all on John Schneider or put it all on Bo Bichette or Tim Mays or Anthony Bass just seems kind of reductionist. When you look, let's talk for a second here, Ben, because I am really curious your thoughts on John Schneider removing Kevin Gausman from the game, because I hated it. But that said, okay, if you just take all the names and all of this out of it, and you just tell me as a baseball fan with no emotional connection to what's going on, listen, Scott, you're the manager, game two, bases loaded, 2 outs, your second starting pitcher's on the mound, you're up 8-1, lefty at the plate. Well, I mean, Santana's a switch hitter, so it kind of took that away. But nonetheless, right? Your best lefty's in the pen warming. What do? Like, I almost go to the bullpen every single time. Like, where are you at on that decision?
I didn't like it, but it shouldn't be the reason or the catalyst towards blowing a 7-run lead, right? Like we can have two conversations at once. We can say, hey, Kevin Gossman, despite the fact that there was a lot of traffic in a bases loaded situation, and Santana had just previously almost hit a home run off of him and was obviously seeing Gossman pretty well. That, yeah, okay, Tim Meza even given up the eventual 4 runs, right? He has the wild pitch and then gives up
yeah.
the 3-run home run. I mean, still, you should be in good shape. But yeah, you obviously weren't. Yeah, I didn't like it. It did kind of feel like a regular season type of decision where, your starters at 95 pitches. And I know generally the opposite is true, where it's, hey, in the postseason, you have a quicker hook on your starter. But this team's strength is it's in its first two starters. Mm-hmm. It's in its closer. And I know Tim Mays has been great, but man, look at the numbers against righties all season long. And as you mentioned, Santana's a switch hitter, but obviously going to be hitting right-handed against him. Also, his more dominant side, not power-wise. He only had 3 home runs from the right side this season, but the OPS not even close. And it's a career-long thing, as well as just a one-season thing for him. If you want to take the micro of this season with the Mariners this season, yeah, Not a great decision, but you could have easily seen Tim Mason get the one out that was required from him in that situation. You could have also potentially had Jordan Romano get the one out that was required of him in the 8th inning, and he got 2 outs via the strikeout and then got the pop-up that, I mean, he probably wanted. Only issue was that it was perfectly placed. Yeah, it's like if you're looking for a silver bullet answer to what went wrong or who to point fingers at, like, I'm not going to give it to you. I can give you a bunch of people.
Yeah.
There's a 26-man roster. Let's probably Yusei Kikuchi is not responsible, but I wouldn't rule it out. I don't. Yeah, it was a horrible 9 innings of baseball, and nobody should be immune from criticism, really.
We really appreciate all of you within the walk-off community. This thing continues to grow and become an animal of its own. It's a little bit overwhelming, but honestly, we love talking Blue Jays baseball and all the interaction that you folks are involved with us. Thank you so much. Discord, feel free to join it. That is always free. The show, or the link is in the show notes. You can follow us on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast, on Instagram, the Walk Off Podcast. And if you are watching on YouTube currently and you're not subscribed, we'd really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. All the best, everybody. Cheers.